Hi guys, it's me again, Andrew, and what we're gonna go over today is basically identifying, okay, a trend, right? And how we can basically see the resistance and support areas of the previous trend, of the previous movement, and how we can leverage trading between the different zones, find the right entry and exit areas. But first of all, how do we know what the trend is? What I do is basically I use the moving averages, which are the EMA 200, the EMA 100, to identify the trends. And my settings are, I'm going to show you them right now. For EMA 200, I'm using the exponential, and I apply it to the weighted close, all right? And for my 100, it's basically the same thing, exponential and the weighted close, right? So what I do is when the 100 is below the 200, that indicates to me that it's a downward trend. And when the 100 is above the 200, it tells me it's an upward trend, as you can see right here. It's an upward trend, right? And then it switches over to a downward trend, right? And of course, we always look at the daily and see what trend the daily is moving, because that's our major trend here, basically for the week, for the month, whatever, right? So we can see with AUD, USD, the daily is a downward trend. When we go to the 4 hour, 4 hour is also a downward trend, okay? So we're gonna use this area here and see what happens afterwards, how we could have traded from this point going down. All right, so what I do is, as you can see, I'm using the zigzag, and I have my settings on the zigzag at 12, 5, and 3, okay? So I use the zigzag to help me to identify the highest, lowest points. So what I do is I find the previous highest trend movement, right? So each zigzag basically identifies within the major trend, a minor trend. So this was a trend moving upwards, and then it turned around, came back down, went up, came back down, and went up, and came down, created a new downward trend, and basically blew away the previous movements, right? So I'm going to use this because this was a major move. I'm going to get my Fibonacci, and I'm going to go from the top of that movement, so it's always left to right, down to the bottom, all right? And as I've drawn the Fibonacci, let me explain. I actually have different numbers on my Fibonacci than the average person. And I'm basically using these numbers to help me to identify the support and resistance zones. So the numbers that I've added, which most people don't have or nobody has, are 11.4, 11.4, I've added 19.0, 25.0, 34.0, 42.0, 50, most people have that anyway. And also, maybe everybody should have the 61.8. That's our main, the main number, the main Fibonacci number. And I also added 66.0, 75.0, 81.0, and most people already have the 88.6. So these are the main numbers that I've added. And in the minus, I've added negative 11.4, negative 25, and negative 50, 38, well, 38.2 and negative 61.8, which most people should have already. And in the larger numbers, I've added 111.4, 125, 150, 175, 188.6, and 200. Okay, so these are my Fibonacci settings, and the reason why I've added these extra numbers that is I've come to basically find out that the Fibonacci is creating resistance and support zones for us, and I'm going to show you what those zones are. So going from 0 up, the first zone is from 11.4 to 25. All right, so I'm going to shade that in for you so you can see it. 11.4 to 25. So we're going to look and see, act as if this movement here didn't happen, and we're going to see how we could have traded that, right? So 11.4 to 25, our first zone, and our second zone is 34 to 42. So that number 42 is kind of hard to see. Let me pull it over a bit. See if you can see it better. 42, right? And the next, and what I do is I draw a horizontal line at 50. Let me make that a bit darker. Let's give it a purple color. Draw horizontal at 50, 50%. And then our next zone is 61.8 to 66. All right, so I just shade those in for you. And our next zone after that is 81.0 to 88.6. And I also draw horizontal at 75. In other words, it reminds me I need to take note of 50% and 75%, because sometimes it's good to know those areas, because sometimes that's as far as it's going to go. Might only go to the 50%. And how do I know when it could only go to maybe not higher than the 50%? Because the moving average shows me. Okay, so if I draw vertical at 0 point of the Fibonacci here, right, is our vertical, and we can see where our EMA 10 intersects with our vertical, it's above 11.4, right? If it was below 11.4, that would indicate to me that I need to be careful, because the chances are the first movement might only go to about 42% or 50%, right? And most likely could retrace back down and might go back up, or might just like continue on a downward movement. Okay, so that's very important. Where is my EMA 10 when at my point 0 of my Fibonacci, right? If I was to draw vertical, where does it fall, right? That's very important. Okay, so bear that in mind, because I'll show you later on. Okay, so we've identified our resistance and support areas, right? By, drawing up these zones here. And what I do is, what I'm looking for is my EMA 5, which is this light blue line, Dodge blue line here. Let me zoom in so you can see better. This line here, I'm looking for it to be above the EMA 10, which is our black line. And also I'm looking for it to cross above the 25%. See this zone here? I'm looking for it to break out of that zone. So when it breaks out, right, I'm looking for the candle to close, right? This candle here closes above that zone, right? So this gives me a nice entry. So I would get into this trade here, and basically if I'm not watching it, if I'm not able to watch it, I'm looking to take profit at this 34%, at this zone here, most probably at this 34% area if I'm not able to watch it. Or if I'm able to watch it, I'll activate a trailing stop or move my stop loss to the 34% and basically watch to see if the candles are going to close below the EMA 10. If it does, that's an indication for me to get out the trade, right? So if it doesn't, I'll sit in the trade and write it up, and look, it goes to our next zone, and we know the 61.8% is a major resistance area. So what does it do? It hits it and bounces back and closes below our 10%. So there is a good indication for me, I need to get out the trade, right? So close out the trade, or move my stop loss up to 61.8%, and if it comes back and hits it, I'm out the trade. All right. So if I'm gonna wait, I'll wait to see this candle close below the EMA 10 and exit the trade. Right. So I still got my resistance and support areas, and as you can note, like this is the 4-hour chart. As you can see, each period indicates 1 week. And if I was to pull back, you'll basically notice that every week there's a movement, maybe one major movement that occurs, sometimes twice, right? So basically each pair maybe has one major movement per week. So if you're patient and you wait, you can catch that movement, okay? So anyway, back to our chart. So it hit our resistance, came back, and decided, hey, I'm going back down. But if we know, look, it came up and it's trying to create a W, right? So taking note of this, now our EMA 5 is below our EMA 10, right? And it's coming back to this zone right here that has now become a support. And it comes to it, goes into it, and it's to try to go back up, but it got resisted. So if you wanted to, when you see this blue candle here, it didn't go back outside its zone, could actually do a sell and actually get out the trade when it comes back into this area here. Because the chances are it could break through it, or it could turn around and go back up, because see, it's trying to create a W, right? And therefore, it goes back up, and our EMA 5 goes above our EMA 10 again, right? And then our EMA 10 and EMA 5 goes above this zone here. So basically, you could have waited until it retraced back, and because our EMA 10 and EMA 5 is above the 42 to 34% zone, could get back into the trade and ride it up to this next zone here and get out the trade, close out the trade when it hits this zone, right? Just see what it's going to do. And as you can see, this zone here was a major resistance for it, because look at it, it touched on the EMA 200 and it kind of bounced back down, because we know it's a downward trend. So that's okay. We're not going to expect it to go all the way up to 88.6, because we know, as you can see, the moving averages are all kind of angled down, right? So you're going to wait, right? As you can see, bends, comes back down. We have our EMA 5 below our EMA 10 again, right? Comes back into this zone, right? But notice our EMA didn't enter this zone until it reached here. So what I'm waiting for is for my EMA 5, let me drag this zone out a bit, to break this zone, and it does it right here. So I would enter the trade here and watch it, and what I'm going to do is draw another zone for you. We have another zone down here from 0 to 11.4. Where does it go? Goes to our next zone and tries to go back up. Could get out of this candle, or you could get out when it hits this zone here. And let me draw for you. We also have a couple more zones. Go from 25, negative 25 to 38, negative 38.2. We go from, we have another zone here at 61%. Should be like between 61% and 75%. All right. Just put a horizontal line at the 61% right here. All right. So what happened was, okay, it hung around into that area for a while, and then let me drag this out a bit. It then broke out of that zone. See our moving average, and it's below the EMA 10, EMA 5 below the EMA 10. Broke out of that zone and headed for the next zone. So this candle here could have entered the trade, watch it, wait to see what it does, set your trailing stop, right? It enters this zone and it stops there. So what does that mean now? Okay, we're just gonna move our Fibonacci from this point here, bring it down to here, right? So now we got like a new downward trend, and we got new areas. So what we could do is set up our resistance areas again. So what I'm gonna do is just move these rectangles over a bit, because what we want to see is what's going to happen here from this point going up, right? So I would basically move my rectangles or redraw them. So I'm just going to move them over because it'll be quicker so you can see, right? So we're going to go 34%. To 42. Go even further. And we're going to go from 61.8. And remember, we've got to make sure we have a horizontal at 50. 61.8 to 66. All right. And then our other zone, move this guy over. Let's get rid of this one for now, because I don't think it's going to move that high. Okay. 81. Shrink this down a bit to 88.6. And we also have a horizontal at 75. All right. So what are we looking at now? Okay, we got our new zero area right here. And what we're looking at is, if we were to draw a vertical at the zero area, where's our EMA 10 when it intersects the vertical at 0 point? Okay, it's below 11.4. So that's indicating to us that the chances are the movement up, when it breaks our 25%, is going to go into our this zone or to the 50%, maybe not higher than these two, right? So we're not looking for it to go all the way to 66 and 61.8. We're looking for it to stay somewhere around here. And what we're going to wait for is it to break the 61.8% to indicate to us that it's going any higher. Okay, so when we break the 25%, the EMA 5 is above the EMA 10, went into our 34 to 42% zone. It's okay. We wait for the retracement, wait for it to try again right here. Can enter the trade, watch it, wait for it, expect it to go to around 50. Don't expect it to go all the way up there. So we're gonna wait, activate a trailing stop maybe at 50, or put our stop loss at 50 and move it up as it moves. Boom, closes out, or but we close in profit. So we watch it and we wait for it. Wait and see what it does. All right. We're going to wait, see if it comes back down into this zone and try to go up again. And it doesn't. It comes back down, breaks into this zone here. You can see this zone is pretty major too, right? Which is roughly by 38.2%. Right? So it comes back to this zone. And look, we have a big candle that pushed down. We're not going to go into the trade as yet. We're going to wait for the pullback. It pulls back. And what does it come and do? Comes back, touches our EMA 10. See this candle right here? Basically a doji. That's where we're getting to the trade, right? Because it's indicating to us that, hey, you know, it got pushed back from this area up here, 50%, 42%, 38.2, whatever. And it's telling us, like, listen, that the sellers are in charge. So we could have got into this trade here and write it down. Look, it went through our bottom zone. And this is where it kind of is at right now. All right. So hopefully that explains a lot to you, right? How you can basically use these zones to your advantage, how you can identify them and work them to your advantage. And don't forget where the EMA 10 falls at the 0 point. If you put a vertical there, that's very crucial because that tells you a lot, right? Because what we're doing, we're using the EMA 5 and 10 to tell us how much momentum, you know, is it worth going into the trade? Is there momentum with the movement? That's all I'm using them for, is to tell me that there's enough momentum. Once it's broken a certain area, a certain point, it's telling me there's enough momentum that I can get into the trade and take advantage of it. And if you can basically learn and understand this will help you to be more accurate with your entry, be more accurate with your trade, and have less losses. Okay, so just practice and do your best, and I hope this helps you. All right, and I'll talk to you guys later. Okay, thanks. Have fun and happy trading.